All right, let's go through a PES free response practice problem. Based on the PES spectrum of this unknown element, answer the following questions. So we have a PES that shows us the relative number of electrons versus the binding energy. And we start with a high binding energy and we go to towards a low binding energy. And there's a break here because this first peak's binding energy is very high compared to those outer electron peaks. And we have these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. They don't show the number of electrons. They show the number of just the number of the peak. Okay, we're going to have to do some work to interpret how many electrons we think there are in relative size. So number 1, which peak corresponds to the 1s electrons? So the 1s electrons are the innermost electrons and have the highest binding energy. So that would be this peak right here. So peak number 1, or another way to put it would be the 126 megajoule peak. Okay. 2, write the electron configuration for the unknown element. So we know that just following off-bow principle, this peak must be 2 electrons, right? So 1s2. This is the same relative size, 2s2. This is about 3 times the size, which would make sense because 2p must have 6. And then the final peak would be 3s, and it's the same size as peaks 1 and 2, so it has 2 electrons in it. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2. Now in number 3, we're asked to identify the element. We just have to go find element 3s2 on a periodic table. And when you do that, you see that sitting in position 3s2 is the element magnesium. The other thing you can do is just count here. 2, 4, plus 6 is 10, 12. So if we're talking about an atom of an element, if it has 12 electrons, it also has 12 protons. And the element that's atomic number 12 is magnesium. Now, which electrons are removed most easily? Those would be the ones with the lowest binding energy, right? The ones that are bound to the nucleus with the lowest amount of energy, or the outermost electrons. Okay, and look at the energies 0.74 here, or from the electron configuration, it would be the 3s2 electrons, or the valence electrons. Okay. So number 1 would be the first peak, or the 126 megajoule peak. Here's our electron configuration, magnesium, and the 3s2 electrons are removed most easily.